You know, the funniest part about this video is that growing up, I legitimately hated reading. What's up, my people? Welcome back. So very glad you're here. Hope you're having an amazing day. I'm having an amazing day at this very moment because, I don't know if you can see it. See this? This is a plant whose name I do not remember, but I call it the vanilla plant because it smells like vanilla, and it is top to bottom just covered in flowers and bees, and it smells amazing right now while I'm making this video. Man, I hope that you're having a great day. You know, if you watched my video last week, one of the things that I talk about doing during Advent is spiritual reading, and I thought it might be appropriate to make a video where I suggest to you some specific things, specific books rather, that would be worth reading, because I've read a lot of books, which, as I mentioned at the beginning, is ironic and hilarious because I did not grow up reading. I hated reading. Like, why read books when you can go do other fun things? And man, in high school, I think I read a grand total of 1 book. And then in college, I read 0 books and somehow managed to get a 3.2 GPA. And it wasn't until, I think, like in my middle 20s that I picked up a fiction book. I think it might have been Aragon. And I read that and just, just boom, books. And I love reading. I am always reading. I usually have 2 or 3 books going at the same time. I do some spiritual reading. I like a lot of personal growth type books. And then at night, every night at the end of the night, I will read fiction. I got that from Tim Ferriss. If you don't know who he is, look him up. But I got that from Tim Ferriss, where he talks about only reading fiction at night because it helps prepare the brain for sleep. And I have found that to be super beneficial. So what I want to do today is suggest to you just 3 books. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to make this a nice southern sermon. Just kidding. 3 points. I'm going to suggest to you 3 books. And I wanted to try and do 1 book from a different genre. That way, you know, wherever you are in your own journey, you have something to nourish your spirit in whatever genre you're reading right now, whether that's fiction, nonfiction, writings from the saints, biographies of the saints, whatever. So wherever you're at, I wanted to try and provide something for you that will hit wherever you are. So, in no particular order, just how I have them stacked up. The first book I want to recommend to you is The Life of Moses by St. Gregory of Nyssa. I got onto this book, I don't even remember who recommended it, but I got onto this book and could not put it down. The beauty of this book, one, is it's super short. It's not a very long book, but it is rich. It is rich. You know, St. Gregory of Nyssa is one of the very, very early saints in the church. And he writes about both the historical moment of the life of Moses as well as the spiritual meaning. So, you know, really about this much of it is just his historical accounting of the Exodus. And then 2/3 of the book is his spiritual insight into the grander themes and meanings of the story and what it means for us today. You know, an example would be, he talks about Pharaoh and the armies of Pharaoh as they're chasing after the Israelites after they've left Egypt, as being the passions and the sinful desires that we have that enslave us, and how they chase us down in order to hold on to us rather than to let us go. And it's just insight like that where once I got started, I couldn't stop. It's an amazing book. So if you want to read something written by one of the saints, I would strongly recommend The Life of Moses by St. Gregory of Nyssa. Okay, second book. This is non-fiction, but not historical. But you know, in my last video, one of the things I talked about was growing in your prayer practice. I mean, making prayer a regular part of your day. And one of the books that has helped me a great deal in that endeavor is this book called A Fire Within. And it is about the life and teachings of both Saint Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross. It's both their life, but also their teachings. It's their personal prayer life and what they teach about prayer. You know, how they walked it out and what they taught. It's a denser book. It took a while to get through, But that was because there was just a lot to chew on. There's a lot to grapple with. There's a lot to take in that is really helpful when it comes to growing in your prayer life. So if you want something not fiction, but also not a specific writing of the saints, you know, something where somebody digested all of their writings and made it a little bit more accessible for those of us in the modern era, Fire Within is a fantastic book. Still available out there. I think you can get it on Amazon. I don't know. I don't get paid for any suggestions. These are just books that I've read that I think are absolutely worth having on your bookshelf, having been read. So if you want to grow in your prayer practice, I highly recommend Fire Within. And then the last book is a fiction book, and I've read it twice. It's actually a series of 5 books. Books 1, 3, and 5 are thicker, bigger books, and books 2 and 4 are real short and thin. And the book is called The Raven's Son by Nicholas Catar. Now, Nicholas Catar is a deacon in the Eastern Orthodox Church. But I will tell you, maybe Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia would be the only other 2 fiction stories that I think so beautifully encapsulate the Christian journey and the battle that we are in as Christians. He did a big fancy release recently, within the last month or 2, and I missed the opportunity to get these books in a new bound fashion, and I wish I had. It's an amazing story. It's hard, it's gut-wrenching. There's some things in here that are hard to wrestle with, but the way Deacon Nicholas, talks about the journey of faith through this fiction story is so meaningful, because there's a character in here for everybody. Like, there are characters that I guarantee are wrestling with the things that you are wrestling with. And I love this book, this series of books, all 5 of them. But definitely start with Raven's Son, book 1, and get to know Voren, who's one of the main characters. If you're looking for Christian fiction that will touch your heart, man, this is it. All right, so short video today. I just wanted to make some recommendations during Advent of books that I think would be highly worth your time. You know, Advent is a season where we, like I said in the last video, prepare our hearts for the coming of the Lord, and I think reading is an important part of that. So check out those books. Go find you a copy. They're all available. I know they're out there, easily accessible. There's a 4th book. There's a 4th book out there, and I hesitated and decided not to put it in the video because it's no longer in print and is exceedingly hard to get a hold of. I will probably do a video just on that book in the future. But for now, these are the 3 books that I recommend to you during your Advent season. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Till I see you next time, keep climbing.